And in their complaint, Diddy's attorneys were saying that NBC Universal made the assumption that their client has committed numerous heinous crimes, including serial R of minors and S trafficking of minors.
This is the first time that I'm speaking about it. It's something that I'll never forget.
Despite these challenges, the Marathas didn't give up. They kept fighting and their spirit remained strong. The war continued through the late 1680s and into the early 1700s. Both sides suffered many losses, but the Marathas showed great strength. As the Maratha Wars went on, it became clear that this struggle was important. It would change the future of India. It marked the end of one era and the rise of new powers in the land.
And let's not forget, this isn't some greenhorn attorney. This is Anthony Rico, a man who's been in the trenches. So what gives? What could possibly... Let's dive in because the tea is steeped in controversy. Decide that he wanted nipping hot, and the speculations are even hotter.
Potentially, it could be a conflict with the client, right? A disagreement. They just don't get along. The communication is poor. They don't agree on defense strategy. It could be a conflict with one of the other lawyers. Obviously, seems like Agnifilo is the lead on this case, although Rico was certainly his 1B.
Now, bin Laden's associates avoid a demise sentence dead. That's some of the most notorious cases in modern history, individuals with some of the most jaw-dropping allegations against them. Well, Rico was there defending bin Laden's associates, working to make sure they avoided the harshest penalties. You've heard of Osama bin Laden, right? He's the guy who helped one of masterfully that the defendant walked away with a life sentence in Rico's level. He's arguing the case so matter he's a legal heavyweight who knows how to navigate the murkiest. He's not just a lawyer.
Obviously, there's other lawyers on the case. Obviously, a lot of the victims are female. They're going to want female lawyers on the defense team, especially during some of the aggressive cross-examination. That tends to be the conventional wisdom when you're dealing with victims who are alleged victims of assault or abuse. And then it could be a conflict with one of the victims themselves. Maybe Agnifilo, maybe Rico consulted with them or even represented.
So when someone like Rico says, now, here's where it gets even juicier, Rico made it clear that his decision isn't about a lack of preparation or competence. Oh no, he's got that covered. He even assured the court that his withdrawal wouldn't delay the trial, saying that Diddy still has 5 other lawyers on his defense team. But let's be real, when you lose someone of Rico's caliber, it's bound to shake things up. And the fact that he chose to walk away now, so close to the trial date, makes you wonder if he saw something in the case that made him say, nope, not worth it. Here's the thing. Rico has seen it all. He's worked with hardened criminals, people whose alleged actions make Diddy's case look relatively tame by comparison. If Rico could handle defending clients involved in international scandals and controversial cases, then what could possibly make him turn his back on Diddy? Some are saying it's not about the allegations themselves, but rather about what's in the discovery, the evidence and documents that lawyers on both sides are reviewing before trial. Rumor has it that Rico got a look at those papers and decided he didn't want to be tied to whatever's in there. One source even claimed that Rico's decision wasn't about money or competence. It was about self-preservation. Think about that for a moment. If someone as experienced as Rico felt that staying on this case could harm him, what does that say about what's coming out in court?
Well, when you withdraw, really, you still need to protect the client and the confidences, so you don't want to say something that may jeopardize him or the case. And you also need leave or permission of the judge. So you want to provide enough so the judge knows that you're not leaving the client high and dry, but you don't want to provide too much that may compromise defense strategy or a weakness in the case or some other issue that would hurt the...
Rico's sudden exit has set off alarm bells everywhere. You've got legal analysts, celebrity gossip enthusiasts, and even casual observers all asking the same question. Why now? The timing couldn't be more suspicious. Diddy's trial is just around the corner, and Rico's departure comes right when the stakes are at their highest. And get this, Rico isn't even spilling the tea. In his motion to withdraw, he cited reasons related to attorney-client privilege, which means he can't or will say why he's stepping away. In true dramatic fashion, he told the court, "It is respectfully but regrettably requested that the court grant the relief requested." Respectfully but regrettably? That's lawyer speak for I'm out and I'm not explaining myself.
I think it has to be the defense, the consent, because look, sometimes you can argue that the activity never happened, right? It wasn't me, defense. But this is not your typical assault case. There are a lot of people there, right? There are people that are arranging the workers. There are people that are setting up lights and cameras, booking hotel rooms. Obviously, Diddy has a large entourage.
But wait, there's more. Rico's departure isn't happening in a vacuum. Diddy's legal team has been under a microscope ever since his arrest. Shortly after he was taken into custody, Diddy bolstered his defense team by adding 2 more lawyers to the roster, including Mark Garagos and Tanny Gagos. These are heavy hitters in their own right, known for taking on celebrity cases and winning. Yet even with this star-studded team, Rico's exit has thrown everything into question. It's like having a dream team of players only to lose one of your strongest right before the championship game. Sure, the team can still play, but you have to wonder if they'll be as effective without Rico on the bench.
I thought Diddy would be throwing all his celebrity mates under the bus.
I mean, that could potentially be coming when it's time for court and when it's time for him to testify. But what we're seeing right now is how important public relations really are to Sean Combs. He's desperately trying to control the narrative behind bars, allowing his attorneys to do documentaries.
But let's not forget the optics. Rico's departure is a PR nightmare for Diddy. The man already has enough on his plate, with allegations swirling about his personal conduct in a trial that could potentially put him behind bars for the rest of his life. Losing a high-profile lawyer like Rico doesn't just hurt Diddy's legal defense, it also sends a message to the public. It says, something isn't right here. And you better believe people are picking up on that. Social media is ablaze with theories, and everyone seems to have an opinion on why Rico bailed. Some are even joking that Rico must have seen something so wild in the case files that he decided his career, and maybe even his reputation, wasn't worth the risk.
Wait a minute, say that again. Say that again, back up. You're saying that there's tapes and they're being shopped?
Yes, there have been people already shopping.
We've heard about the tapes, but
yes.
The shopping thing is
yes,
new.
there already have been tapes leaking around Hollywood, being shopped around to individuals in Hollywood. But one particular person contacted me to shop a particular video they were in possession of.
Then there's the question of how this will impact Diddy's trial. With Rico gone, the remaining lawyers on the defense team will have to pick up the slack. But will they be able to do so effectively? And what about the jury? Losing a lawyer of Rico's stature could influence how the jury perceives the case. They might wonder why someone as experienced as Rico would choose to walk away, and that could color their view of the evidence presented in court. It's a gamble, to say the least, and one that could have far-reaching consequences for Diddy's defense.
Well, first of all, I can only imagine how sloppy Sean Combs was with evidence when he got busted with those 2 machine guns or 3 machine guns with the altered serial numbers. So I really don't trust Sean Combs or the people around him's ability to properly cover up anything. So I envision that you're going to see a trial, payments from his Amex for flights for people, straight payments directly from his company to people.
What's also raising eyebrows is the way Rico chose to leave. He didn't make a big splashy announcement or hold a press conference. Instead, he quietly filed a motion with the court, leaving everyone to speculate about his reasons. And while he didn't offer any specifics, he did drop one cryptic line that has everyone talking. There are sufficient reasons related to the protections afforded by client privilege for brevity in my application for withdrawal, he wrote. Translation: whatever's going on behind the scenes is so sensitive that Rico can't even hint at it without potentially jeopardizing the case. Or himself. The timing of Rico's withdrawal is also fueling speculation about what's happening behind closed doors. Some insiders believe the case is more complicated than it appears on the surface, with layers of allegations and evidence that could make even the most seasoned lawyers think twice. Others are pointing to the sheer number of lawsuits and claims against Diddy as a possible reason for Rico's exit. Let's not forget, Diddy isn't just facing criminal charges, he's also dealing with over 30 civil lawsuits. That's right, 30. And those lawsuits aren't just about money. They're about painting a picture of a man who allegedly used his power and influence to manipulate and control others. Could it be that Rico felt overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of it all? Or did he see something in the case that made him question whether he could, in good conscience, continue to represent his client?
Now, this particular defense attorney's reason for quitting wasn't really a reason at all, making his departure a lot more puzzling.
As the clock ticks down to the trial, one thing is clear. Rico's departure has added another layer of intrigue to an already explosive case. Whether it's a sign of trouble within Diddy's legal team or a reflection of the challenges they're facing, it's clear that this trial is shaping up to be one for the history books. And with so many unanswered questions, you can bet that everyone will be watching closely to see how it all unfolds. And here's where the plot thickens, because if you thought Diddy's legal troubles were messy, wait until you hear what's being said about his sons. It's like the drama is spilling over into every corner of his life, and people are starting to ask if their actions might have played a role in Rico's sudden exit. Let's be real, family dynamics can get complicated. But when you're already dealing with a high-stakes trial, the last thing you want is more chaos coming from your own inner circle. Yet, that's exactly what seems to be happening here.
Because my next guest just testified before a federal grand jury. He says he was in possession of a trove of digital evidence from Diddy's freak-offs and parties.
First, there's Justin Combs, Diddy's oldest son. Now, Justin has always been seen as the more low-key one in the family, but lately his name has been popping up in ways that are anything but chill. Reports claim that while Diddy was behind bars, Justin was out here throwing wild house parties. And we're not talking about a few friends quietly hanging out. No, these were massive, out-of-control gatherings that reportedly left rental properties in shambles. Landlords have been coming forward saying that Justin would promise small, private events only for hundreds of people to show up and wreak havoc. One source even said it was like a tornado had gone through the place, broken furniture, trashed walls. You name it. And here's the kicker. These parties were happening while Diddy was already in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. It's like Justin didn't get the memo, or worse, didn't care.
Good morning, Michael. At this point, we've all probably heard about these infamous parties. Diddy's assistant now giving us details about what he says were called Wild King Nights.
And here's what makes Justin's behavior all the more baffling. He's not exactly new to this world of high-profile scrutiny. Growing up as one of Diddy's sons, he's had a front-row seat to the kind of public fallout that can come from even the smallest misstep. You'd think that witnessing his father face decades of lawsuits and controversies would make Justin more cautious, more aware of the consequences. But instead, it seems like he's doubling down, as if trying to carve out his own identity in ways that are both reckless and tone-deaf. Some sources close to the family have even speculated that Justin's actions might be a way of rebelling against the immense pressure of living in Diddy's shadow. But rebellion or not, the timing couldn't be worse.
That's where Diddy has been for months now, but last week he was taken to the hospital. According to reports from the New York Post, Diddy was transported from MDC in the cover of darkness at about 10 p.m. on January 30th. He was taken to a Brooklyn hospital for an MRI after reporting issues with his knee.
What's even more surprising is how these parties have allegedly drawn in other high-profile names, turning them into mini celebrity scandals of their own. Rumor has it that attendees have included social media influencers, up-and-coming artists, and even a few well-known athletes. And while no one's pointing fingers directly at Justin for what happens at these gatherings, the fact that they're happening under his watch makes it hard for him to escape blame. One anonymous insider described these parties as a disaster waiting to happen, citing everything from property damage to security concerns. It's no wonder landlords are furious, and it's no wonder Justin's recent legal troubles have only added to the mountain of problems now looming over the Combs family. But here's where things take an even darker turn. Word on the street is that one of these parties ended with an altercation between guests that required police intervention. While details are still murky, witnesses have come forward claiming that tensions escalated after a disagreement over who was allowed on the property. Some say it was a simple misunderstanding, others suggest it was more serious. Either way, it's the kind of incident that only adds fuel to the fire, making Justin look less like an innocent partygoer and more like someone who's actively contributing to the chaos. And while he hasn't been officially linked to any wrongdoing in this particular incident, the optics are terrible. If you're Diddy, sitting in a detention center and watching all this unfold, you've got to be shaking your head.
Live, a judge has denied bail for Sean Diddy Combs. Of course, this was the hip-hop mogul's latest bid for freedom as he remains in federal jail for his racketeering and sex trafficking case.
But wait, it doesn't stop there. Justin recently found himself in legal hot water when he was denied bail for his role in some of these alleged antics. Apparently, the court wasn't convinced that he'd learned his lesson, or that he wouldn't go out and throw another one of his infamous parties. And let's not forget, this is all happening while his dad is facing one of the most serious trials of his life. You have to wonder how much this added stress is impacting Diddy's legal team. Could it be that Rico saw all this drama and decided,
Diddy? Or didn't he? Well, if he didn't, he's got a lot to explain. Well, apparently what Diddy's done now, which is a very interesting thing, is he's on the offensive of sorts. That's right, Sean Diddy Combs has initiated a $100 million defamation lawsuit.
without having to worry about what the client's family is up to. He didn't want to deal with the fallout. After all, a lawyer's job is already hard enough.
It sounds like there was probably a lot of hidden cameras as well. Is that what is being talked about?
Yes, this was actually in his Atlanta home, at a home he had in Atlanta at one point. And it does seem that the person isn't like looking into the video, so it's, to me, doesn't seem like that person knows they're being videotaped. It doesn't seem like they're active participant in the videotape.
Let's talk about the social media frenzy, because wow, people are not holding back. There's one video in particular that's been making the rounds, featuring someone who claims to be a former friend of one of Diddy's sons. In the clip, this person says they've seen things at Diddy's house that would make your jaw drop. They go on to speculate that Rico's departure might have something to do with the evidence that's been uncovered during the case's discovery phase. According to them, Rico took one look at the documents and decided he couldn't, in good conscience, stay on the case. This man don't even want to be guilty by association, they said. And honestly, that's a pretty chilling statement. It paints a picture of a case so explosive that even a seasoned lawyer like Rico would rather walk away than stick it out.
This is very significant, just from who we associate Diddy being and everything we've seen him do over the decades. Like you said, this is quite the downfall to go from, I mean, we saw the mansions back in March that were raided by the feds. So to go from living in those mansions to being in the jail cell right now, I think it really underscores the magnitude of what he's facing and the weight of the federal government.
And then there's Christian Combs, Diddy's younger son, who's also been making headlines lately, and not in a good way. Christian, who goes by the stage name King Combs, was hit with a lawsuit involving an incident that allegedly took place on a yacht. According to the claims, Christian offered a steward working on the yacht a drink that she suspected was tampered with. The situation allegedly escalated with claims of inappropriate behavior that left the steward shaken and filing legal action. This lawsuit came not long after Diddy's own arrest, and it raised even more questions about what was going on within the Combs family. Here's where it gets even more tangled. The lawyer representing the steward, Rodney Diggs, didn't hold back when commenting on Diddy's situation. He called Diddy's arrest a long-awaited step toward justice and hinted that more people might come forward with their own stories. That's a pretty bold statement, and it adds another layer of pressure to an already high-pressure case. Could Rico have looked at all these swirling accusations, not just against Diddy, but now involving his sons, and decided it was just too much to handle? It's not hard to imagine someone in Rico's position thinking, I signed up to defend one person, not an entire family's worth of scandals.
Thought that he was above the law, so I can only, think that, he was sloppy in the way that he did these crimes, that there's probably a trail of evidence, not only involving him, but everybody in his circle that he would, delegate these responsibilities to. And those people are when they're...
But here's where it gets even deeper. Some people are saying that it's not just the allegations against Diddy and his sons that are the issue, it's the bigger picture of what these allegations represent. There's talk of a so-called Hollywood underbelly, with whispers that Diddy's case might expose things about the entertainment industry that certain people would prefer to keep buried. And, if that's true, you can see why Rico might have decided to distance himself. After all, defending one client is one thing, but stepping into it, that's a whole different ballgame. Meanwhile, Diddy's legal team is doing their best to keep things moving forward, but you can't help but wonder how they're managing all this. With 5 other attorneys still on board, they've got the manpower, sure, but do they have the focus? Losing someone like Rico is a big deal, and no matter how much they try to downplay it, the cracks are starting to show. Add to that the constant stream of headlines about Diddy's sons, and it's clear that this isn't just a legal battle, it's a full-blown media circus. And let's not forget the public's role in all this. People are following this case like it's the latest season of a reality show, dissecting every new development and speculating on what's going to happen next. Some are even drawing comparisons between Diddy's situation and other high-profile cases involving celebrities. They're asking questions like, is this the end of the road for Diddy? And what does this say about... These aren't easy questions, and they're not going away anytime soon. At the end of the day, one thing is clear. This case is about so much more than just Diddy. It's about the people around him, the choices they've made, and the ripple effects those choices are having on his fight for freedom. Whether it's Justin's questionable parties, Christian's legal troubles, or the mounting allegations from people who've come forward, it all adds up to a picture that's anything but simple. And with Rico stepping away, it feels like we're only scratching the surface of what's really going on here.
Wait a minute. Say that again. Say that again. Back up. You're saying that there's tapes and they're being shopped?
Yes, there have been people already shopping.
We've heard about the tapes, but
yes.
The shopping thing is...
Yes, there already have been tapes leaking around Hollywood, being shopped around to individuals in Hollywood. But one particular person contacted me to shop a particular video they were in possession of.
What do you think? Did Rico withdraw because he saw something in the case files that made him question his involvement? Or is there more to the story? And how much do you think the actions of Diddy's sons played a role in all of this? Share your thoughts in the comments below and let's keep the conversation going. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more celebrity gossip and updates.